I hope you're having a great day. Today I want to break a myth that troubles a lot of people. You see, we live in a world where a lot is done by inducing fear into people. Fear is usually induced into people to sell them a product, sell them a service, or something like that. We need to understand that's how marketing and advertising works. At the same time, fear can be used in a very good way, in a beautiful way. Fear channels us and directs our energy into maybe building a career, getting that promotion, building a livelihood, saving and investing well for the future. So fear can be used both ways. But I think there's enough of fear in the system of healthcare. While we know sleep is so important for people, okay, we get many questions all over the world every single day about, hey, but Luke, I think I'm a night owl. I can't sleep early. I can only sleep late at night. And I know people who can sleep at 9 o'clock and they wake up 3 or 4 in the morning. Let's break this myth today. Is that healthy or not? And let's break it down into things like night shifts and everything else. You see, the human body works on rhythms. It's called a circadian rhythm. It can change, but you got to maintain the rhythm. You can go out of rhythm, but the quicker that you come back to rhythm, you're in homeostasis, which means the intelligence within you maintains a balance of health and vital functions in the human body. Now, there are many kinds of people. Go back to your childhood. Let me lead with my example. When I was a teenager and I had to study, I would prefer to go to bed by 9 o'clock, but wake up at 3 or 4 in the morning, because that's the time I could grasp and study and retain and do really well, with my studies. And my sister, for example, my eldest sister, who was a genius and still is a genius in school, she was a night person. She would study till 1, 2, 3 in the morning and then wake up a little later. And that worked perfectly for her. You see, whether you're a night owl or you're a morning person doesn't matter. What is important is, do you get the right amount of sleep that your body needs? Now, this is where it's a little bit challenging for night owls if you're stuck in a system where you sleep late, but you got to wake up early. You got to wake up early because you got to go to work or whatever it is, whatever the reason is. Now you're sleep deprived. But being a night owl and getting the right amount of sleep is not a problem. So let's say you sleep at midnight or 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock, okay? Because that's your rhythm. Now, it's not your rhythm if one day you sleep early, one day you sleep late, one day you socialize and sleep later, and then one day you sleep early. No, that's out of rhythm. That's an erratic rhythm. That's going to affect you. You would already know it's affecting you. Wake up with acidity, blood sugar levels fluctuating all over, sleep deprived during the day, feeling fatigued. The rhythm has to be maintained. So if you're a night person, and a lot of people are super creative at 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning, but then the healthy ones are able to sleep for their 7 or 8 hours, whatever suits them, and wake up a little bit later. Absolutely no health concern. Absolutely none. So a lot of early morning people look down on late night people and say that, they just sleep late in the morning, they're lazy people. No, it's okay. A lot of this has to do with your genetics. A lot of this has to do with your genetics. So if your parents or even one of your parents were night owls, there's a possibility that you may have it in you. And then there's, of course, the indisciplined people who, for example, they can sleep at a particular time, but they're binge watching, or they're just mindlessly scrolling on social media, or they're stressed out and they genuinely can't sleep. Disruption in the rhythms. Now you got to figure out what works for you. So that worked for me when I was a teenager. Today it's very different. I can go to sleep at 9, I can go to sleep at 8:30 and wake up early in the morning. I'm still a morning person. But go back 5 years ago when I was writing my books, I was a night person. I thought all my creativity flowed only when everyone was asleep, and I could write till 3 in the morning and churn out some pretty good books. The point is, it keeps changing. What is it for you, and are you doing it the right way? Now let's talk about night shifts. A lot of people work night shifts. All of them are not unhealthy. The point is, when you work for companies where the night shifts are erratic, you do a night shift for 3 days and then suddenly you move to a morning shift and then you move to an afternoon shift, that is going to create health problems over time. No doubt about it, because your rhythm keeps changing. The point is, when you have a night shift and it remains for about a month and then you transition to a different shift, that's absolutely fine. That's absolutely okay. Now the point is, if you're a night owl or you're a morning person, what the human body wants is the amount of quality sleep that it requires. So if you need 6 hours of sleep, quality sleep, are you getting it? If you're not getting it, doesn't matter if you're a morning person or a night owl, you are going to have health problems, period. It doesn't matter. So, the human body is very resilient, and that's how we get through our teenage years. Most of us are sleep deprived, going out, studying late at night, all of that stuff. But we don't have those kind of problems because we can adapt to it at that particular age. Now, as you move into your 20s and your late 20s and your 30s, your rhythms start to change because your body's changing, and you need to start respecting the rhythms. So don't feel bad if you're a night owl. Okay, feel bad if you're a night owl because of your bad lifestyle. Change that. But if you are a night person and it works for you, don't be pressurized, because a lot of night owls are told to sleep, earlier and earlier and earlier, but they can't. Their genetics just don't allow them to do that. It's okay. But make sure you get the right amount of sleep. If you do not, it's going to affect you. So like I said, for night owls, it's a little bit more difficult, especially if you have a job that requires you to wake up early in the morning. You're sleeping at 2 and now you have to wake up at work for 6. You're sleep deprived. Obviously, you're sleep deprived. So you want to move that bedtime from 2 o'clock to maybe 1 o'clock, and then gradually move it down to maybe 12:30, because at the end of the day, the human body cares about only one thing: survival. It doesn't care about your ambition. It doesn't care about your goals. It doesn't care about your partners. All it cares about is survival. Am I getting what I need for survival? Oxygen, nutrients from food, movement for blood circulation, sleep for recovery. That's all it cares about. And you need to remember that. You need to drill that into your head, that that's all the human body cares about. It's your conscious mind and your ego that cares about everything else. But your body, it only needs these things to function. And if it doesn't get these things, you have disharmony and you have disease. Now, if you're a morning person, let me throw light on a very big problem that we have in our country. A couple of years ago, from a particular religious order, we started getting a lot of cases of young people with brain tumors and cognitive brain disorders. Okay, and we started noticing a commonality in this particular religious or spiritual order. And this order preached a particular point in all its honesty. You wake up and meditate at 3 o'clock in the morning. Fabulous, excellent, fantastic for you. But what it didn't tell people was to sleep earlier. So you had people partying till 1 o'clock, but waking in the name of spirituality and religion to meditate at 3 o'clock. These people were highly sleep deprived, leading to inflammation in the brain, low immunity, cravings during the day, and all of that stuff. You see, people, let's be honest and blunt. There is spirituality and there is religion, and then there is common sense. Just because you're a spiritual and religious person doesn't give you a free card to omit what the human body requires for health. And we started noticing, I remember 17 people from this particular spiritual path. It's not the fault of the spiritual path. It's the fault of the person who doesn't have common sense, that if you want to wake up and meditate at 3 in the morning, you better get into bed at a time that gives you sufficient amount of sleep. But people think that religion and spirituality will save them from all problems. I knew a Vipassana teacher who would do the 45-day course of Vipassana. She was so mature when it came to her emotional health because of meditation. She ignored the physical self. And of course she had cancer. She had an ovarian cancer, she had an endometrial cancer, she had a breast cancer. And she was like, but I meditate. Yes, you may meditate, but you can't ignore the physical body. Spirituality teaches us to respect the gift of life, which is the whole of you. Not just the mind, not just the emotions, the physical self as well. So it is so important for us to understand that if you want to wake up early and meditate in the morning, go to sleep early. Go to sleep early. Don't do it because it's a fad. Don't do it in the name of religion and spirituality. It is not going to protect you because, like I said, the human cells in the body needs what it needs. It doesn't care how much you pray. It doesn't care how much you meditate. It cares whether it's getting the nutrients it needs and the oxygen it needs for survival, period. Like you could have the best car in the world, the most expensive car in the world, but if it doesn't have the right fuel, quality and quantity, the car will not work. It's the same thing with the human body. So now take that pressure off you. When you see your kids out there burning the midnight oil, studying late, they're not going to get sick. No, they're not going to get cancer. They'll be just fine. Just encourage them to try to get those extra hours of sleep. We have thousands of clients whose children we look after when they're in the US, UK, Australia, studying in university. And they're laid up at night doing projects and studying. They're going to be fine. And then parents say, but Luke, they're sleeping till 11 in the afternoon, 12, they should wake up at 6 in the morning and meditate and get sunlight. No, it's okay what they're doing. If they're sleeping later, I'm happy that they're waking up later. So their body gets the sleep that they require. Everything in life is through logic, common sense, and understanding first. So the point is, if you're a morning person, be that morning person. It works for you, but make sure your body's getting the amount of rest it needs. And if you're a night person, be that night person as well. Make sure that your body is getting the right amount, quality and quantity of sleep that it requires. Then you're going to be just fine. But if you're sleep deprived and you have these breakdowns of rhythms, one day you sleep late, one day you sleep early, and the rhythms are all over the place, you already know from the symptoms that you currently have what the root cause of the problem is. And especially if you're sick, you could have a deadly disease, you could have a small disease, whatever. You need to understand sleep is one of your most powerful medicines. Knowing this, how can I align with a rhythm? How can I align with a rhythm that heals me, that helps me recover, that helps my medicines work better for me, that reduces inflammation naturally? You got to put yourself into that ecosystem of better sleep, period. That's how it's done. You may have excuses, you may have reasons, you may have all of that stuff. Your body doesn't care about that. It cares about what it needs to heal you, and rest is healing. Sleep is healing. We know that scientifically. We know that medically. So all the students out there, don't be worried about it. If you're abusing your sleep rhythms, you're going to have problems, and you know right now what those problems are. But if you need to stay up late, you're working on a project, you're creative, for all the artists out there who start working at 2 in the morning, that's fine. But just sleep in later. Because you owe it to your body. If you're depriving it of sleep, make up, get that sleep in one day, not in the afternoon. You don't break it. You don't break the cycle of sleep. So if you're sleeping at 3 o'clock, wake up later. That's how it works. So that's the myth I want to break today. Take that pressure off you that you need to sleep at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock. You may be in that night owl, and then your rhythm is continuous. Maybe you go to sleep at 12 o'clock every night. That's okay. But make sure you get sufficient sleep. Have a great day, everyone. Until next time, eat smart, move more, sleep right, breathe deep, and remember, you care. It's all about you.